Welcome to the UCCU Center on the campus of Utah Valley University for a high school rewind game of the week. I am Dusty Litster. Thanks for joining us on our matchup, the American Fork Cavemen and the Lone Peak Knights. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you along with us for this Region 4 battle and a rivalry game between American Fork and Lone Peak. This should be a dandy. Lone Peak, we'll start with them. They come in the #1 team in the state, #1 in 5A. They have rattled off win after win. They come 16-2 on the season, 7-0 in region play, and looking now go through the second half of region and running through undefeated and trying to wrap up another region championship and on their way to trying to repeat or four-peat here in the state of Utah in the 5A classification. The first matchup went the way of the Lone Peak Knights. They won 68-59. They were led by, who else? TJ Hawes. TJ in that game scored 36 points, had 7 threes. Also Frank Jackson in that game had a nice one, had a nice game, had 15 points. And en route to that 9-point victory over American Fork. A key name to remember tonight is going to be Zach Frampton. Zach is kind of the Connor Toulson from that team a year ago. He does all the little things. He rebounds. He pushes the floor. He's always in the right spot. Keep your eye on Zach Frampton. He does all the little things. And at the end of the game, when you add up all those little things, it makes a big difference. And he certainly does that for the Lone Peak Knights. Let's talk about American Fork. The Cavemen come in off of a tough loss last week to a 6-point loss to rival PG. They have not played earlier this week, so they've had all week long to think about that game and get ready for tonight. We expect them to play their best game this evening. The key name, as we all know, we have to know, is Ryan Andrus. Ryan is the BYU commit. He's played very, very well. Had a tough game last week against Pleasant Grove. He's going to need to bounce back tonight against Lone Peak to give American Fork a shot in this game. A surprise name last week was Taylor Larson, who scored 19 points against Pleasant Grove. He's got to step up and play well off the bench as well. But the name to remember is Tyler Rawson. Tyler played extremely well last week against PG. Those three are going to have to play well, and then Brendan Bailey's had to light up from the outside. A number of guys are to score points because Lone Peak is going to force AF to score points, and those 4 players are going to have to do so. We know our players and our teams and a couple of keys to the game. When we come back, we'll have the opening tip-off. You are watching High School Rewind only on Xfinity On Demand. And we are set for the opening tip-off. Ryan Andrus and Spencer Curtis going to jump it. American Fork in their blacks. Oh, pardon me, Andrus jumped out. Tyler Rawson and Spencer Curtis. Lone Peak, the designated home team. AF in the road blacks. Brendan Bailey hands off to Condi, and it's AF with the first possession of this game. AF 4-2 in region play. They're battling for that second seed. And they'll need to get a win tonight and win out and have PG lose. And there's Tyler Rawson with the first 2 of the game. The pass from Ryan Andrus, and it's 2-0 Cavemen. As we mentioned earlier, it was a 9-point victory. It was the first region game for both teams here at the UCCU Center. As Haas pulls for 3, that's too strong. Rebound collected by Johnson. Johnson into the front court, into the corner to Bailey. Bailey loses the handle, and we'll go back to Lone Peak. Up the floor now with TJ Haas, a sharpshooter for Lone Peak. Had 6 threes on Tuesday night against Westlake. We mentioned 7 3-pointers in the first matchup against American Fork. Here's Zach Frampton. Frampton cross court to Johnson. That picked off. Nice play by Spencer Johnson on the run now with Condi. Here's Johnson. Rawson had his man pinned. And Alpin, there's the lob over to Rawson. Rawson at the rim left hand, can't get it to go. Zach Frampton came across and altered the shot. As we mentioned in the open, Frampton does all the little things for the Knights. Running down the floor now is Haas. Haas into the corner. 3 from Alpin. And that's off the mark, and the rebound tipped out by Curtis. They say out of bounds off of Curtis, and we'll go with American Fork. 6:30 remaining in the opening quarter. 2-0 lead for American Fork. Outside to Johnson. Up top with Andrus. Andrus now Condi. Back to Andrus. Now Johnson, drive the baseline. Go to the hoop, float it up, no. Can't get the, Rawson couldn't get the putback, can't get his own. His third attempt, and then it's Andrus with the offensive board and bucket. 4-0 Cavemen. Here comes Haas, not only, oh, beautiful find to Curtis, and Curtis lays it up and in, but what a dish from TJ Haas. 4-2 with 5:50 to play in the first quarter. Here's Condi. Interesting matchup. It's going to be Brendan Bailey and Haas. The pass gets away from Johnson, picked up by Frank Jackson. Jackson pull up from the free throw line. A little flat and off, and now we're going to have a foul on the rebound, and it's going to be called, I believe, against American Fork. Foul goes against Condi. First team foul inbound. It's knocked out of bounds by Andrus, and we'll do it again. Haas the trigger. Curtis hands back to TJ, guarded by Bailey. And they have a foul on the floor. It's going to go against Andrus. Coach Meacham not very happy with that call. Andrus didn't do much there, but it's the first team foul on AF. Pardon me, first team foul on Andrus, second team foul on American Fork. Frampton inbound to Alpin. He'll back it out and set up the offense with Frank Jackson. Jackson to the corner, Frampton down the baseline. Outside, Alpin for three. And it's the first three of the game. 5-4, Lone Peak. They hit 12 threes on Tuesday night. And there's number one. Outside Johnson. Johnson to Bailey. Follow a jumper, no. Rebound tipped up by Rawson. And we're going to have over the back on Tyler Rawson. And that'll be the third team foul charged to American Fork. 5 minutes remaining in the opening quarter, and it's a 5-4 lead for the Knights. Sophomore Frank Jackson to the front court. Jackson terminates, follow a jumper, short, rebound to Frampton. He kicks it out to Haas. Haas, pull up Jay, good. Looked like his brother there. Take the ball on the dribble and a soft touch and puts it away. 7-4, Lone Peak. Here's Condi. Condi terminates, holding outside, gets it now to Andrus. And we're going to have a foul away from the basketball. This one against Alpin, and it'll be the first team foul charged to Lone Peak. Taylor Larson came in for Andrus, the inbound into Condi. Here's Brendan Bailey, drop it into Rawson. Rawson working on Curtis, backs him down, spins base, pump fake, and he's fouled. Nice move by Tyler Rawson. He'll now go to the line to shoot 2 free throws. Second team foul on Lone Peak. Rawson missed the first. Curtis comes out of the game for his younger brother, Curtis, and makes him the second. As Nick Curtis came in for Spencer. Up the floor now with TJ Haas. Hands back to Zach Frampton. Eden comes out and set the screen for Frampton. Into the corner, Curtis. Frampton down the baseline. No, nice dish to Heaton. And they're going to get Frampton with the charge. It's a tough call on Frampton. It'll be the third team foul on Lone Peak, and we'll go with the Cavemen. So after the offensive foul, down the floor we go with the Cavemen with 3:45 remaining in the opening quarter. Outside Rawson. Rawson, nice pass inside to Larson as it's slapped away by Frampton, and we'll stay here. Rawson the trigger. And nobody home on the pass, and it's a turnover, and we'll go with Lone Peak. 3:35 remaining in the opening quarter. Lone Peak has not lost an in-state game since February 10th, 2012. It's a nice pass inside to Heaton. Now up top, Frampton for three, and that's off the mark. And a rebound taken by Larson. Now to Condi. Condi pushed it in the front court. And that loss was a 58-50 loss to AF. Since then, it's been 35 games in the state of Utah since a Lone Peak loss. Frampton going up against Rawson, and Rawson with the foul. Frampton a little frustrated, but Rawson clean with the foul. And it will be the 14th foul on American Fork, second on Rawson. Frampton the trigger. They called it on the floor. We got a loose ball foul charged against Frank Jackson. Or pardon me, it's on Heaton. So the foul goes against Heaton. That's the 14th foul. So 14 fouls apiece as we hit the 3-minute mark. Possession arrow belongs to Lone Peak. Low scoring first quarter. Condi down the lane, float it up and score it. Nice take by Condi. And the sophomore point guard ties us up at 7. Haas. Thought he was going to pull. Hands back to Frampton. Frampton down to Frank Jackson. Jackson gets in the lane, gets by Larson, misses it. Larson with the board, hands off to Johnson. Johnson into the front court. Working on Heaton. Back to Andrus. Larson, now Condi. Here's Brennan Bailey. Try to get inside to Andrus. Nice defensive play by Curtis, and we'll stay here with AF. Condi to trigger. And you go deep in the backcourt. Tipped away by Frampton and picked up by Johnson. And Johnson has a stolen by Frampton. Gets it ahead to Hawes. Condi's there. Hawes lays it up and in. 9-7 a lead for Lone Peak, and terrific effort from Zach Frampton. Picking the pocket and then getting the assist to TJ Hawes. Here's Johnson. Now Condi. Off the screen. Outside to Johnson. Here's Bailey. Harassed by Frank Jackson. Pass gets away. Tracked down by Johnson. Here's Condi. 1:45 now on the clock. Larson terminates, gets it to Bailey. Bailey pump fake. Got the foul. Nearly got the bucket. And there'll be 2 free throws come to Brennan Bailey. And that'll be a foul, I believe, on Frank Jackson. Bailey made the first free throws. Got one more. And gets a second. It's a first foul on Jackson. It's the 5th team foul on Lone Peak. 1:35 remaining in the opening quarter. Hawes outside with Curtis. And nearly had that picked off by Gibb. Jackson pull up at the junction. And Frank Jackson with his first bucket. 11-9 the lead for the Knights. Here's Condi. Into the corner, Bailey. Bailey down the baseline. Bailey rims out. Rebound collected by Curtis. Back down the floor with Hawes. Hawes for 3. And that lips out. Andrus with the board. 1 minute remaining. Now down to 52 seconds. And it looks like they're going to play the weave and play for one shot in the quarter. Here's Gibb. No, he'll pull. And Gibb misses. And a rebound taken by Frampton. Frampton pushing it. He's got Heaton. And we're going to have a block. We had the same call earlier. This time it goes against American Fork. Goes on Gibb. That's the 15th foul on American Fork. And will inbound under the hoop. Frampton to inbound. Gets it into Heaton. Has it stolen. Going the other way with Curtis. Had Larson streaking down the court. Couldn't get it to him. Gets it back to Gibb. Gibb now to Condi. We'll be near 25 seconds now remaining in the opening quarter. Condi gets it back to Gibb with 20. Out comes the trap. Gibb to Bailey. Bailey to Andrus. Andrus bumped, and it counts. Ryan Andrus gets the bump in the bucket, and they'll go to the line for a free throw. Andrus looking to complete the 3-point play and to give the Cavemen the lead. And he does so. 12-11 the lead for American Fork. 14 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Haas will walk it up. Now down to 10. Here's Haas at 5. Haas float it and score it. Nice job by TJ Haas. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. It'll count if it goes for Condi. And that'll do it for the first quarter. And at the end of 1, it's Lone Peak 13, American Fork 12. Lone Peak will start the ball at the start of the second quarter. The alter possession now will belong to AF. Here's Haas. Backdoor alley-oop to Frank Jackson. Beautiful pass from Haas. And the sophomore goes up, takes a low pass and throws it home. In the corner, Bailey. Inside, Andrews slapped away by Heaton. Picked up by Frampton. Ahead to Haas. He saves it in to Curtis. Stolen by Bailey. Gibb picks it up, now getting the hands of Condi. Now into the front court for the Cavemen. Here's Gibb. Trying to get inside to Larson. And it's out of bounds off of Frampton. Will stay here. Condi to inbound. Gets it into Bailey. Haas has kept Brennan Bailey quiet. Here in the first half, cross court, Bailey. Pull for 3. That's off the mark, and a rebound taken by Johnson. Back up, can't get it to go. Andrus had missed time that jump. Bailey with the board. Fall away, Jay, no, and the rebound to Frank Jackson. Jackson quickly to the front court. Oh, beautiful pass to Heaton, and Heaton will finish. Timeout, Coach Meacham. 6:59 remaining in the second quarter. It's Lone Peak 17, Cavemen 12. After the timeout, back comes Condi and the Cavemen. trailing by 5. Here's Rawson. Cross court to Johnson, back to Condi. Here's Johnson, not looking for a shot. Here's Rawson. In the corner, Condi immediately looking to get to the top. Rawson, nice pass inside to Andrus. And Ryan Andrus lays it up and in. And it's a 3-point game, 17-14, Lone Peak. Haas to Frampton. He'll pull for 3, and that's off the mark, and the rebound collected by Johnson. Here's Bailey. Now Rawson, he'll pull for 3, and that's short, and the rebound taken by Bailey, hands back to Condi. And that's off of Heaton, will stay here. Here's Condi to inbound, gets it into Ryan Andrus. 6:10 remaining in the first half. And Johnson can't hang on to it. Turnover, and we'll go back to Lone Peak. So after the turnover, 6 minutes remaining in the opening half. Outside to Jackson, who had the alley-oop. And now Jackson called for his second foul as Condi hits the deck. And that'll be the 16th foul in Lone Peak. That's number 7. We'll sort it out. The foul is on Alpin, not Frank Jackson. It's the 17th foul on Lone Peak, will be in the bonus remainder of the second quarter. Here's Rawson. Outside to Condi. Here's Brendan Bailey. Bailey off the screen of Andrus. Outside Rawson. Rawson looking inside. Now Johnson. Johnson down the lane. He'll float it up, and no, crawls off. Tipped up and in by Rawson. Nice job by Tyler Rawson of following that up. 17-16 our score. Here's Haas, and Haas fouled on the floor. No shot, and that will be the 16th foul against American Fork. Haas to inbound. He gets it into Jackson. 5:20 remaining in the second quarter. Up top, Alpin. Now near side with Frampton. And Frampton will back it out. Here's Jackson. Jackson been quiet since the alley-oop. Pull up 3, and that's off the mark. Rebound taken by Spencer Johnson. Up the floor now with Condi. And Condi will set up the offense for American Fork. Johnson has that slapped away by Alpin. They call it off the foot of Johnson, and we'll go with the Knights. 4:45 remaining in the first half, and a 1-point lead for Lone Peak. Haas from Jimmer range, and that's off the mark. Thought he was going to get a foul call, didn't get it. And a jump ball, and they're going to give a timeout to Lone Peak. The unofficial has a jump ball, and we'll sort it out. So they gave the jump ball, which goes to American Fork in the alternate possession. 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. American Fork will going to take the lead on this possession. Here's Larson outside to Condi. Condi up top to Gibb. Back to Condi in the corner. Again to Gibb. Now Larson. Andrus is not on the floor as Rawson has it. Inside Larson. Larson with the bump and the bucket. The foul will go against TJ Haas. And Taylor Larson will go to the line looking for the three-point play. Here's Taylor Larson. And it rolls in. Quickly down the floor now with Haas. Haas, now Curtis back up top, TJ. Fall away jumper. That's off the mark, rebound. And we're going to have an over-the-back call against Lone Peak. That's going to go against Spencer Curtis. And it'll be 1-1 for AF. Larson made both free throws and back up to the largest lead for American Fork, up to 4. They led 4-0 to start the game. They now lead 21-17. Outside Alpin. Now Haas. Haas been cold the first half. Haas down the lane. Outside Frampton. Now Jackson. Jackson shakes and bakes, floats it up and scores it. Nice take by Frank Jackson. Takes us down 21-19 with 3:25 remaining in the half. Johnson outside to Gibb. Now Johnson. Here's Gibb into the corner. Dangerous pass repeated by Jackson. Johnson for three. On a routed out. Gibb saves it in. It goes to Frampton. He gets it in the hands of TJ Hawes. Hawes trying to bait him a call. Coach Lewis beside himself. Jackson for three. And Frank Jackson! 5 straight points. And it's now a 1-point lead for Lone Peak. 22-21. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first half. Outside Gibb. Now Johnson, another long possession for AF. Here's Larson, hard to the hole. Larson is fouled, and it'll be 1-1 once again for AF. Double bonus now, as Larson made the first free throw, ties us up at 22, and back rims the second. 22 all with 2:35 remaining in the half. Big moments in this game, and Hawes lost the handle and we'll have a foul call. And it'll be 1-1 for TJ Hawes. Hawes made the front end. And rolls in the second. 24-22. Lone Peak leads. 2:25 remaining in the half. Here's Johnson. Outside to Gibb. Now Bailey. Bailey drop it into Andrus. Double team comes. Quadruple team comes. Bailey for three. That's off the mark. Goes on line. Frampton with the board. Frampton pushing. 2-on-2. Frampton with the bump. Frampton. Call for the travel. We'll go with the Cavemen. So after the traveling violation, 2 minutes remaining in the first half. AF can tie or take the lead. Johnson outside to Bailey. Had a tough first half for Brennan Bailey. That pass off the mark and stolen by Hawes. Hawes inside, gets it out to Jackson for three. And Frank Jackson leaves that short. Rebound to Hawes. Hawes for three. Off the mark tonight is TJ Hawes. 1.5 remaining now. Here's Gibb. Now outside to Johnson. Here's Bailey. Now Gibb. Johnson to Andrus. Andrus outside. Oh, nice pass inside to Rawson. Rawson nowhere to go. Stripped by Frampton. And Frampton loses it. And will stay here. Condi to inbound. He gets it in to Rawson. Hand back to Condi as we hit the 1 minute mark remaining in the first half. Outside Rawson, drop it into Andrus. Oh, back to Rawson and the give it go! And Rawson rises up and flushes it home with two hands. We're tied up at 24. 50 seconds remaining in the half. Hawes will hold here in midcourt. Been a hard-fought half. Lone Peak has had to earn every point. And American Fork with strong sets have been able to get their buckets. But after a hot shooting night on Tuesday, it's been tough tonight for Coach Lewis's Knights. Frampton outside to Jackson. Jackson's had a strong first half. Now down to 20 seconds. Now 15. Outside to Hawes with 10. Working on Bailey. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. Hawes floats it up, swatted away by Andrus. 2 seconds. And we're going to have a foul at the end of the half. They're going to call this on Brendan Bailey, I believe. If it is on Bailey, that'll be 1-1 for Lone Peak. Frank Jackson will shoot the 1-1. Foul on Brendan Bailey. And Jackson leaves it on the front end. It's a heave from Andrus. It goes unanswered. And at the end of one half of play, we are tied. Lone Peak 24, American Fork 24. Lone Peak will start the second half with the basketball in the alternate possession. Testy end of the second quarter. Both teams shot pretty cold, but Lone Peak was especially cold, especially from the other night. You can credit that to good defense by AF and also just flat out missing some shots by Lone Peak. Here's TJ Haas, had 8 points in the first half, and a quiet first half for him. Outside to Jackson, who leads all scorers, and Jackson is fouled going to the hole, and he'll go to the line to shoot two. Jackson made the first and makes the second. Down the floor now with the Cavemen. Rawson and Andrus both with 11 points in the first half. Bailey stone cold. And that ball had to be saved in by Johnson into the hands of Haas. Haas to Frampton. Frampton to the hole and lays it in. Somehow getting that over the top, but Tyler Rawson, who would have picked up his third foul. And it's now 28-24 in favor of Lone Peak. AF started the game on a 4-0 run. Lone Peak starts the second half on a 4-0 run. Andrus' jumper off the mark, rebound to Frampton. Frampton ahead to Jackson. Had Curtis going to the hole. Jackson in the lane, floated up and score it. Nice take by Frank Jackson. And it's now 30-24. 6-0 run to start the third. Here's Braden Condi. Into the corner to Spencer Johnson. Here's Condi outside. Off the screen of Rawson. Back to Rawson. Frampton with him into the corner. Bailey. Bailey dropping aside Andrus. Backs his way in. Took the bump. Didn't get the bucket or the foul. Rawson couldn't corral it. And it's Frampton into the front court. Frampton, oh, nice move by. And a beautiful take by Zach Frampton. And it's an 8-0 run for Lone Peak. Timeout, Coach Meacham. 6:19 remaining in the third. 32-24, Lone Peak leads. After the timeout, 8-point lead for Lone Peak. Condi has it stolen by Frampton. Condi with Frampton, that's a foul on the floor. There should be no bucket there. On the floor, and that'll be the second team foul on American Fork. Frampton inbound, gets it into Haas. Haas, oh, double clutch, can't get it to go, gets his own board. And trying to get out, and now a foul called on Brennan Bailey. That'll be the third team foul on AF, the second on Bailey. So they have Bailey down with one. We have him with two. Had the foul right before the end of the half. Haas for three, and that's long. The rebound out to Frampton. Frampton will pull for three. Off the mark, rebound taken by Spencer Johnson. Hands off to Condi. Condi racing into the front court. Sophomore point guard. Now up top to Tyler Rawson on the angle with Johnson. Johnson, as Haas hit the deck with the elbow, and will stay here. Game get a little hot and tested. Condi to inbound, got to get it in, and does to Johnson. Hands back to Condi. Johnson and Condi, both sophomores, and at times it looked like that. A foul underneath. Frampton goes chasing after Andrus, not to calm him down. Rawson to trigger. Into Johnson. Johnson's jumper is short. Rebound to Larson, and Larson will lay it in. Taylor Larson the last 2 weeks done a nice job coming off the bench. Looking into the front court with Haas. Haas in the corner to Jackson. Down the baseline. He'll float it up. No. Rebound to Curtis. He loses it out of bounds. We'll go with the Cavemen. I have a feeling this game will get called really tight here in the second half. And Frampton's going to be called for the foul here. He flopped trying to get the foul on Rawson. And that'll be the second team foul on Lone Peak. Rawson, the trigger, gets it into Andrus. For some reason, inbound to the big man in the backcourt. Hands off to Condi. Condi into the corner to Larson. Up top to Andrus. Andrus for three. That's off the mark. Rebound tipped out, and it should stay here, and it will. Condi to inbound, gets it into Andrus. 4:50 remaining. Larson now to outside of Andrus, backside Rawson. Rawson, no, can't get the and one. Foul goal on Alpin, and it'll be two free throws coming away at Tyler Rawson. First free throw was no good from Rawson. Second free throw is good, and it's 32-27, 4:40 remaining in the third. 3 team fouls apiece, and the alternate possession belongs to AF. Jackson for 3. Frank Jackson from downtown. His third 3. Jackson with 3 threes and an alley-oop, making his presence felt in this game. Outside of Rawson. Gotta answer. Condi dropping inside to Andrus. Triple team comes. Andrus nothing. Johnson's jumper off the mark, and now a late foul call about 10 seconds ago, and now called on Rawson. 14 foul on AF. The foul goes on Tyler Rawson. Rawson got tied up before the shot went in the air. There were late whistles, and then there were really late whistles. We'll try not to be too critical of the officials. They got a lot to handle, but that was a tough one. Halfway through the third, Haas for 3, and that's off the back of the iron. Tipped down and taken by Gibb. Gibb ahead to Condi. Condi outside to Gibb. Up top, Larson. Got to see where we're throwing the ball. Picked off by Frampton. Going the other way. Frampton trying to draw the foul. Doesn't get it. Loose ball foul on the rebound is going to be charged, I believe, to Taylor Larson. Be the 15th foul on AF. Excuse me, that foul goes on Condi. 15 foul. Frampton inbound. Gets it into Hawes. Hawes down the baseline. And we're going to have a foul on Andrus. And it'll send TJ Hawes to the line to shoot 2. First free throw good from TJ Hawes. 16 foul on AF. As Hawes makes them both. 6 fouls on American Fork and 3 fouls on Lone Peak. 3.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Up the floor now with Condi. AF has got to score points, trailing by 10, 37-27. Gibb has it slapped away by Jackson, and will stay here. Gibb inbound, gets it into Bailey. Drop it into Andrus. Andrus cross court, Gibb. Outside Condi. Condi will pull for 3. Off the back of the iron, tracked down by Condi. And now Bailey. Bailey for 3. And Brendan Bailey gets off the schneid with the deep ball. And it's now 37-30 with 3 minutes left. Hawes down the lane, and a foul on the floor. And the foul will go against Gibb. With 3:01 remaining, it's now 1-1. As Lone Peak will be in the bonus remainder of the game. Hawes made the front end. And misses the second. Rebound to Larson. Out the floor with Condi and the Cavemen. Down to 2:55. Here's Larson. Hands off to Gibb. And nice steal by Hawes. Hawes going the other way. Hawes is fouled and can't get it to go. And an intentional foul. Hawes will have a free throw plus 2 more. So the intentional foul on Gibb. Hawes made both free throws. And he'll get the possession. Here's Heaton. Hands now to Hawes. Hawes will pull for 3, and that's off the mark, and a rebound taken by Gibb. 10-point game again, 40-30 with 2:35 remaining in the third. Out top to Condi. Now to Gibb. Here's Bailey, guarded by Jackson. Gets it into Andrus, double team comes. Cross court Gibb, now Condi. Here's Bailey. Brendan Bailey, pump fake, gets a man by. Here's Gibb, up top with Larson, now to Condi. Got to have someone looking for a shot here. Open shots that are to be taken. We got a lot of young guys on the floor for AF. Condi is sophomore. Gibb is a senior. And we mentioned Bailey is sophomore. The guys on the outside have got to be willing to take shots. Here's Gibb. Long possession for the Cavemen. Outside Bailey. Now Gibb. Up over the top to Andrus. And 1! Andrus will go to the line with a bump and bucket. Looking for the 3-point play. Andrus for the and 1. Leaves it short. Rebound to Frampton. 40-32 our score. Frampton runs into the front court. And timeout taken by Coach Quincy Lewis. 1:36 remaining in the third. It's Lone Peak 40, American Fork 32. After the timeout, 1:36 remaining. And it's Lone Peak basketball with nursing a 8-point lead. Been up to 10 a couple of times. But it was an 8-0 start to the third quarter. They really distanced Lone Peak. Here's Frampton, and Frampton with foul by Condi. It'll be 1-1 for the Knights. Frampton made the front end. Rattles home the second. Back to a 10-point game, 42-32. AF's going to have to catch fire. Here's Rawson. And the whistle on Heaton. That'll be the 15th foul on Lone Peak. Inbound to Bailey for three. And that's off the mark. And we're going to have a foul on the rebound. And that'll go against Heaton. And that'll be the 16th foul on Lone Peak. It's a 16 foul. Rawson inbound. Gets it in to Bailey. Haas is right there. Hands back to Spencer Johnson, the sophomore. Now to Rawson. Rawson cross court, Bailey. Bailey for three. And that's long. Tracked down by Spencer Johnson. Timeout taken by American Fork. 55 seconds remaining in the third. Bailey to inbound. 55 seconds remaining in the third. Gets it into Andrus. Here's Johnson, now Gibb. Gibb outside to Bailey. And now a foul again away from the floor is Andrus and Jackson. Jackson still on the floor. The foul goes on Jackson, and it's now 1-1 for AF. Will be in the bonus throughout the fourth quarter. Andrus made the front end. And gets them both. 42-34. Here's Haas, dribbles off his foot, and we'll go the other way with American Fork. 40 seconds remaining in the third. 42-34. And we're going to have a foul on the inbound to Heaton. That's his third foul in the last minute and a half. And Rawson will go to the line for 1-1. Full court pressure on from American Fork. Rawson made both free throws. Our score 42-36. Here's McKay Webster. Brian Webster for a possible late second shot here. 20 seconds now. Outside to Haas. Bailey with him. Down to 15. Bailey's got to be smart. Don't pick up a cheap foul here. Haas with 5 seconds. Haas down the lane outside to Jackson for three. Frank Jackson misses. And that's how the third quarter will end. And at the end of three, it's Lone Peak 42, American Fork 36. AF will start the fourth quarter with the basketball trailing by 6. Up the floor now with sophomore Spencer Johnson. It was free throws at the end of the third quarter helped AF get back into this ball game. And we'll be in double bonus on one end and one-on-one. As Tyler Rawson, nice pass from Andrus. And it's now a 4-point game, 42-38. 19 fouls on AF, 18 fouls on Lone Peak. Could be a very long fourth quarter ahead. Jackson. And we're going to have a blocking foul on Andrus. And that'll put Jackson at the line to shoot two. Jackson made the front end. That makes the second. 44-38 the lead for Lone Peak. Down the floor now with Spencer Johnson. It's a big man offense with Rawson and Andrus. As Johnson dribbles out of bounds. Loses the handle. Condi will come off the bench. So after the turnover, down the floor we go with Zach Frampton and the Lone Peak Knights. Here's Haas. Haas behind the head pass to Curtis. Curtis up top now to Frampton. Frampton outside to Curtis. Curtis hands to Alpin. And Alpin will set up the offense. Now 6:50 remaining in the fourth. Here's Haas, pull up Jay. Leaves it short, rebound to Andrus. Now up the floor with Andrus. Andrus to Bailey. Outside Andrus for three. And it was halfway down and came out. It would have sent the student section into a frenzy. Down the floor now with Frampton. Cross court Alpin for three. No, and the rebound taken by Andrus. And a foul on Frampton. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Ryan Andrus. The foul on Zach Frampton. Andrus for 1-on-1. And it crawls off. Rebound to Haas. Will be double bonus for both teams the remainder of the game with 6:20 remaining. And Haas fouled by Bailey. Be 2 free throws for TJ Haas. Haas makes both free throws. 46-38. 6:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. Here's Gibb. Outside to Rawson. Rawson gets by Curtis. Goes to the hole. And Rawson lays it up and in. And luckily there's a halo. Maybe at a high school gym they might have called the charge, but the halo there helping the official not blow his whistle. Outside Frampton on the baseline to Curtis. And he'll set up the offense with 5:50. Frampton. And that's kicked by Rawson. Will stay here. Inbound in to Haas, and Bailey steals it and will stay here with Lone Peak. Haas the trigger. Gets it into Curtis up top. Younger brother Nick Curtis down low to Frampton, and Frampton finishes. Talked about in the open, Frampton does little things and they add up to big differences. Rawson, 4-3, no. Tipped around and then taken by Haas. Chance to push it back up to 10. Haas now to Frampton. 5:20 on the clock. We'll spread them out. Frampton. Now down to 5:05. Haas to Curtis. Fall away jumper. That's out of bounds. And we'll go with AF. So after the turnover, down the floor we go with the Cavemen. Chance to cut this down to 6, possibly 5 with a 3 ball. Outside Bailey. Now Larson. Outside Condi. Back to Larson. Pass into Rawson. He saves it off of Jackson. And will stay here. Rawson to trigger. Got to get it in. Everybody's in the same spot. He go in the backcourt to Andrus. He'll get it up to Condi. 4:35 remaining in the fourth quarter. Caveman got to get going. Here's Rawson. Rawson working on Curtis. Terminates. Puts it up to the... Couldn't get it to go. Rebound tracked down by Nick Curtis. Ahead to TJ Haas. Haas in the lane. Haas shuffled his feet. And that's a travel. And we'll go the other way. .4:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. Back down the floor with the Cavemen. Here's Rawson. Off the screen, Frampton swatted away. And we have a timeout. Lone Peak. 4:01 remaining in the fourth. 8-point lead for the Knights. After the timeout, down the floor with Frank Jackson. Jackson working on Condi. Jackson with the blow by. Oh, beautiful pass inside. And Nick Curtis will lay it up and in. And it's a 10-point lead for Lone Peak. 50-40. AF is at the speed up their game here. Trailing by 10. Outside to Larson. Now Bailey, 4-3. And Bailey from downtown. 50-43 on the second three from Brendan Bailey. Both coming in the second half. Here's Haas. In the corner, Frampton. Can't get it to go on the rebound to Brendan Bailey on the run now with Braden Condi and the Cavemen. Condi outside to Larson. Larson hands to Rawson. And that pass goes off of Lone Peak and will stay here. Condi inbounds to Rawson. Outside to Andrus. Andrus now to Bailey. Bailey lob to Andrus. And we're going to have a foul on Nick Curtis. And it'll be 2 free throws coming to Ryan Andrus. Andrus missed the first free throw. We're in the double bonus. And he misses the second. Misses them both. Down the floor again with TJ Haas. Haas in the lane. Haas pull up at the junction. Can't get it to go. Curtis corrals the rebound. Jump ball, and that belongs to AF. 2:42 remaining in the fourth. Big possession here for American Fork. Chance to get it down to 5, possibly down to 4. Here's Larson. And a foul on TJ Haws. Larson made the first. Got one more. .236 remaining in the fourth. 50-45. Full court pressure on from AF. Two bigs in the front. And a blow by Rawson. Rawson's got to be smart here. 3 fouls. Jackson gets at the Frampton, and a timeout taken by Lone Peak. 2:26 remaining in the fourth. 50-45. Knights lead. Frampton to inbound. Gets it in to TJ Haws. 2:20 now. Hands to Frampton. Frampton outside to Jackson. Big for AF to play defense and not foul. And for Lone Peak, try to get some, run the clock and get a foul call. Outside to Frampton, 2 minutes now. Now to Jackson. Jackson to Haws on the baseline. Try to get it across, and Andrus knocked that out of bounds and will stay here. Frampton to Trigger. Outside to Jackson. Jackson on the baseline. Jackson floated up. Crawls off in the rebound to Ryan Andrus. And now a foul on Frampton. That's number 5 on Zach Frampton. His last 2 have come after rebounds reaching in. It'll be 2 free throws for Ryan Andrus. 1:49 remaining in the fourth. Andrus missed the first. That's 3 in a row that he has missed from the free throw line. This is a big free throw here. Gets it to go. 50-46. Haws is going to walk it into the front court. 1:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Been a cold night for TJ Haws. Has no threes in this game. And now Jackson will go to the line to shoot 2. As Condi or Bailey got him. Condi should be raising his hand. And there'll be 2 free throws for Frank Jackson. Jackson missed the first free throw, and he's got one more. Back rimmed it. And rims out the second. Down the floor we go with AF. 1:35 remaining in the fourth quarter, trailing by 4, 50-46. Spencer Johnson to Brendan Bailey. Bailey got a dribble by outside to Johnson. Now Andrus in the corner, Gibb. Back to Andrus. Up top to Rawson. Rawson goes through. Rawson with the bucket. 50-48. Haws will walk it in the front court. 1:10 remaining in the fourth quarter. Haws working on Bailey. Down to 1 minute. Here's Frank Jackson. Outside to Webster. Webster is trapped. And timeout Lone Peak. 55.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Lone Peak 50. Cavemen 48. After the timeout, we got 55 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Pick a fence from Lone Peak. McKay Webster to inbound. Haws is a deep man on the pick a fence, and he'll get the inbound. Brandon Bailey with him. Haws with the blow by. Haws in the lane, floated up, and it crawls off. Rebound taken by Brandon Bailey. He puts it in the hands of Spencer Johnson. And down the floor they come looking to tie. Lone Peak's not lost a Utah game since 2012. And that came at the hands of American Fork. Lob into Andrus, can't corral it. Saves it in to Rawson. Rawson to Gibb. And Rawson will hold it out top. Been 35 games since a loss in the state of Utah for Lone Peak. It would take a 3-pointer to do it. 2-pointers send us to overtime. Timeout, Coach Meacham. 19.2 remaining in the fourth. Cavemen with the ball with a chance to tie or win. Both schools chanting, I believe that we will win. Lone Peak leads 50-48 with 19 seconds remaining. Rawson to inbound. Gets it into Ryan Andrus. Andrus hands off to Johnson. Johnson, the young sophomore. In the lane, floated up to Andrus. He gets it. Andrus! And one! Ryan Andrus is fouled and will go to the line. 10.1 remaining in the fourth. Andrus to the line to give the Cavemen the lead. Ryan Andrus at the line, looking to give the Cavemen a 51-50 lead with 10.1 remaining. As we mentioned, Lone Peak has not lost in the state of Utah since February 10th, 2012, but it was the Cavemen 58-50, 35 straight wins in the state. Andrus puts the Cavemen ahead. Full court pressure. gets it in to Curtis. Now to Haas, and a blocking call on Rawson. A blocking call on Rawson, and Haas will go to the line for the win, or for the lead, with 6.4 remaining. Haas has us tied at 51, 6.4 remaining. And puts the Knights ahead, 52 to 51. Johnson, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, got to give it up. Johnson for the win, and Lone Peak survives. 52-51 Knights. TJ Haas makes 2 clutch free throws, and Lone Peak survives and extends their winning streak to 36 games in the state of Utah. What a comeback by AF, trailing by 10 late in the fourth quarter to take the lead. A controversial call on the sideline. Haas makes the free throws, and Lone Peak survives. Stay tuned for our post-game wrap-up. And welcome back to the UCCU Center. Our final score, the Lone Peak Knights 52, the American Fork Cavemen 51. This winning streak that we mentioned a number of times throughout the broadcast has been in jeopardy twice this year, and twice TJ Haas has been able to take it out of the grasp of defeat and pull Lone Peak ahead. Let's talk about this game a little bit. Toward the end of the fourth quarter, about 2.5 minutes remaining, it looked like it was going to be a Lone Peak pull-out win, leading around 10 points in the fourth quarter. AF able to mount a comeback and then take the lead on a pass inside to Andrus. Andrus gets the and one and goes to the free throw line, puts AF up 51 to 50. The inbound pass, Haas gets through, and then a blocking call puts Haas in line for a double bonus with 6.4 left. TJ makes both free throws, and a shot by Spencer Johnson for AF looked like it might go in, goes begging, and it's a big win for Lone Peak, able to escape. Moves them to 7-0 in region play, 8-0 in region play, and puts them absolutely in the driver's seat for the state championship. Region championship, as it looks like they're going to wrap that up and take another region championship home for Coach Quincy Lewis and the Knights. Let's talk about American Fork. This team played very, very well. Didn't have a lot to speak of in guard play. 2 young sophomores in Condi and Johnson played well, didn't look to do a lot offensively. It was Andrus and Rawson who really did things very, very well down on the block. Taylor Larson came off the bench at clutch free throws, provided an offensive spark, and Brennan Bailey hit a couple of key threes, played good defense at the other end of the floor, but it was post play and rebounding and free throws that got AF into this basketball game, as they weren't getting a lot done as where it went by field goals to stay in this game. But what a game we saw tonight, a terrific finish at that. Go back, rewatch it here on High School Rewind. Our player of the game is going to go to Frank Jackson. Thought Frank played an outstanding game. He really paced Lone Peak on a tough shooting night for TJ Haas. Frampton played very, very well, but I thought Jackson really paced Lone Peak in a tough night tonight. Did an outstanding job, did the young sophomore. Congratulations to Coach Quincy Lewis and the Lone Peak Knights, 36 wins, consecutive wins in the state of Utah. And Coach Meacham, a terrific job for American Fork. And again, our final score, the Lone Peak Knights 52, the American Fork Cavemen 51. For Vince Francis, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching High School Rewind, only on Xfinity On Demand.